Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hot Takes Valorant Edition. Zach is back on home soil after a nice week in Seoul. How was it?
Cold. It was bloody cold because I went from like 26 degrees here to,
Shit.
what was it, 2 degrees there. But it was really nice. I really liked it. It was really fun, especially the Game Changers event. It was my first ever Game Changers in person. Like I've been to Masters before, but not GC, so it was awesome. I really liked it. And I also got this nice souvenir. I have a lot of stress, so I feel like this is just advertising for Riot, but this is the most satisfying thing ever. Like you can bully
Oh
the heck
wow,
out of
that's
this.
like proper squishy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an actual like what do you call them? Stress ball. Yeah, you can like if you're ever feeling angry, you can. Yeah. Anyway,
I
that's
need
my
one.
major souvenir. That and I did defuse the spike at exactly like how was it? At exactly 7 seconds. You gotta get it at 7 seconds on the clock. So I got this exclusive, and it's got like the Talon logo on it. So there's never gonna be another like it.
Yeah,
Touch.
last of its kind. Yeah, because that's the thing actually. When
Last time.
that happened, when I didn't even go for any event, but like I just had a holiday in Korea years ago, and you kind of have to have like a spare suitcase empty when you go. I feel like there's just so much stuff to like so much good shopping and stuff. What was your
I had to do so much shopping on my last day. I had to bring like K-pop merch for my cousins, and I don't know anything about K-pop, so I had to go to the shop and I was like, "Hey, can I get some BTS and this girl called Jenny stuff?" And I don't know. I just got like a whole bag full. I had to buy like skincare for 5 people. I had to buy like I had like VCT merch. I had to buy people. So yeah, luckily I took a suitcase that was half filled with clothes, and that thing was stuffed full by the time I got back. I also got myself some really nice snacks. I found like mint chocolate Oreos and like cinnamon Oreos. They've got cinnamon Oreos. Yeah, I don't know. Korea has something else for like snacks. I love it.
yeah? What was the best thing you ate while you were there?
See, you should take whatever I say with a grain of salt because I'm a vegetarian, but honestly, there was this really banger salad. That was like
Only a vegetarian would say that.
there,
Would say those
yeah,
words in
of
sequence.
course. Like I said, you should take anything I say with a hint of skepticism, but it was really nice. It was like this golden curry themed salad where they had like tofu instead of the chicken for the katsu, so it was kind of tasty.
Oh,
It was really
nice.
nice.
Good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Well, let's start with that event then, shall we? And I guess there's a few bits we could talk about. So just to kind of give the broader recap of how it ended, was of course that Team Liquid won, beating Shopify. No three-peat for Shopify. But to be fair, I don't think anyone would argue that Liquid weren't the best team across the tournament. Like they were, got there from the upper bracket as well, and a banger 5 map series, which is like what you always want in a final. So yeah, what did you make of it?
100%. Honestly, I feel like it was a long time coming because I think we got to actually talk to Daiki, like the MVP for the tournament. So if you guys want to check out the interview, it's on the YouTube. It's a pretty banger one. If you like CS as well, you should probably check it out because she talks a lot about Fallen in that one. But back to Daiki, I mean, I think that they really deserved it. She's come like third, she's come like second, and it kind of highlights like the importance of giving more slots to regions like Brazil because this is the first year where they had two teams being able to make it because there was that America's LCQ, which meant that MIBR could also make it, and they ended up coming third. So, yeah, it was a pretty, I don't know, really good tournament for Brazil. And for TL in particular, I think they really deserve it. They've made some roster swaps, it was a bit risky. And for Nike in particular, I think she talks a lot about how she's evolved as an IGL and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it was just really good to see that level of passion. I don't think I've ever seen a player more passionate in a really long time. I think she was just crying for like a good 10 minutes after she won. So, I mean, I feel bad for Shopify because, yeah, the three-peat would have been awesome. And Mel and the rest of Shopify are also like really good people. We saw that from this year in Challengers, but like you said, there's no better grand final. Like I feel like this one low key mocked the champs grand final. Okay, maybe not that bad because there wasn't as much of an epic comeback, but it was still a really really good final and a lot of parallels if you think about it. Maybe not the rookie part of it, but the team coming in dominantly through the upper bracket, just being able to take that momentum and run away with the trophy, kind of similar to what NRG did. So I really liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that makes sense. Even like going from the upper bracket and then still being a little bit doubted because it's the big boys coming in for the final that I guess Fnatic hadn't won it before, but had won a million other things. Um, but yeah, that was one thing actually to touch on in the interviews that I found is you got a bunch of interviews there, and I feel like in like in GC, they just seem like so many better characters than in like regular leagues. Not to say that like people are, all the other interviewees are necessarily boring or something, but um, it's kind of come to be expected a lot of the time with pro gamer interviews because they're most of the time they're like kids that are spend the whole day in the bedroom and maybe aren't the most socially adept, so they're just a bit awkward and no knock to them for it. Like if was being interviewed at that age, I'd probably be the same. But then when you were doing your interviews with the GC players, and like there's like so many good characters.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's generally the most wholesome tournament of the year. Even like the teams that they were playing, even after losing the grand final, you could see like SRG and TL kind of just like hugging it out. And I think there's like a lot of respect among the players of each region and for the circuit in general for the most part. I think it's really wholesome to see. And like you said, I feel like, yeah, better social training as well. I know there's like this whole theory about how like women are forced to socialize more because of how society works and stuff or whatever. But I don't know, maybe it's just better media training or just experience because a lot of these teams they're repeat people coming back, whether it's crew, whether it's TL, whether it's SRG. So, maybe compared to their first year, they've gotten like a lot more experience and stuff.
Yeah.
So that could be it.
Yeah, I guess it could be, yeah, because a lot of these rosters, at least for the top teams, seem like they'd been around, like especially like TL and Shopify, obviously, had been together for ages. So it's kind of natural, I guess, over a few years, whereas not all like regular teams get the chance to do that, I suppose. Um, that camaraderie aspect did get kind of mired a little bit, didn't it? So yeah, with the Amy stuff, and it was a shame, really.
Oh
But I
God.
guess like part of it did feel a shame because of like how you're saying that GCC is like a wholesome tournament, and it had been until that point, and it did feel like that whole thing was like very much not in the spirit of the tournament and what it's about. And yeah, I don't know. I was just so frustrated that with that whole thing. I and this is something. So this is not out yet, but we did a league episode last night where we talked about like
Ooh.
harassment of um like of players because there'd been a player from league that did an interview um not with us, sadly. It wasn't a hotspot interview, but he did an interview with a guy called Don Jake where he talked about like he'd been through like this massive like controversy where his team got to Worlds and then he dropped out at the very last minute and didn't go to Worlds. It would have been the first time he'd qualified, and he said it was an emergency. And he told his coach what the emergency was, but he didn't feel comfortable telling his teammates. And then his coach had said like the reason he gave me is perfectly fine. Like I accept why he can't go. It's okay. Obviously the team did shit because they lost one of their main players, and the fans hated him. And then even like publicly, one of the other players, like a year or two later, said like, "Oh, I think he just left because he wanted to stay at home with his girlfriend." And eventually it turned out that a couple of years later they did reveal it. It was that like his girlfriend had been abused, but his wife, sorry, had been abused, and so he stayed home.
Oh God.
Which is like, and it's the kind of thing where like if you're a fan, or not even just a fan, because his own bloody teammate came out against him as well. But when there's something like that um you have like a quick, strong reaction to it online, and where it's on the internet and you're capable of sending a message to that person immediately and giving them your worst thoughts about it, just like maybe take 2 seconds and try and think like, actually, is what's happened actually in the worst, like is the actual scenario in this really horrible way that I've interpreted it, or if I really think about it, what's actually most likely? Is it that, or is it that there's some misunderstanding here? So like with the Amy thing, if you just think about it for like 2 seconds, firstly, if she was like a closet racist, would she just suddenly now? Why would she now decide to do this tweet where she reveals her racism suddenly now in the middle of the biggest event of the year? And then also like when she comes out and says, "I just had no idea about this connotation for Brazilian people," is it more likely she's lying, or that actually, yeah, she's someone that was brought up in Europe where you may not have met that many Brazilian people in during your life, and you don't know, like you just not culturally you wouldn't know that the relevance of that connection, you wouldn't know that connection's there. So is it more likely she just genuinely didn't know and it was just an honest mistake, or that she was a closet racist that suddenly decided to
Mm.
reveal her true colours in this one tweet, having never had any controversies before? And then obviously people take it in the immediate worst way possible. She's said since that she was getting all like death threats, rape threats, and all sorts. And
Oh God,
I mean, it's
yeah.
just like, can people just like take 2 seconds and think about it? What is actually the likely scenario here before they go and do the like just take it the worst way possible? You know what I mean? Yeah,
100%. Yeah,
frustrating.
I mean, I really don't think Amy meant it in a racist way. Like, I mean, how you mean things and how people feel about things are obviously very different. And there is a lot of history behind the monkey emoji. Like, I was actually reading about it, and yeah, apparently it's not just in esports;
Yeah,
it's also like mainstream sports and stuff. So I can understand why people were offended by it. I do think that a lot of the overreaction was because of this.
it's
XG2
Carlos.
Carlos deciding to poke his nose in and pour like fuel over the fire. And his tweet was definitely racist as heck. So,
And he is
yeah,
just like a
like she didn't
he is
ask for.
horrible.
He's just a psychopath at this point, I feel like. Genuinely just somebody who is there to make things worse for people. And I think he deserves all the hate that he's getting. I wish that people would take the hate that they're sending Amy and send it to him like 10 times over. I usually don't advocate for sending people hate, but people like that guy, yeah, he deserves it. But yeah, so he made things worse. He was like openly racist, transphobic, anti-LGBTQ, whatever you want to call it, in his tweet. And I feel like that was kind of what set off the Brazilians the most, the people who were going at Amy for it. And she was just like caught between the crossfire. And I think that I can understand why her apology, the first one, might not have been the greatest. I don't think it was AI generated for the record. I think she was just in a hurry. She had like a lower final game the next day. You know, you can't really, or like a lower bracket game the next day, like an elimination game. You can't really blame her for it. But yeah, I think that it kind of sucks that something like this caused so much controversy and affected so many people negatively. It kind of sucks. For the record, I don't think that she was being malicious about it. But yeah, Carlos talking his
Yeah,
stupid mouth off probably definitely didn't help matters. And
absolutely.
I feel bad for both sides, like especially Amy, because I don't think she deserves that level of hate. I wish people would just stop being so parasocial. Like these people aren't your friends; they're players. Stop sending them such personal messages that are so violent and disgusting. Especially women, they get that kind of hate a lot. And I mean, yeah, like you know, if you're a guy player, you're probably just gonna hear like, yeah, kill yourself. But it's so much more like disgusting when it comes to women. Like you get to kill yourself and like some additional bullshit. So yeah, I mean that's just like my take on it, of course. But it's just a really bad situation
Yeah.
overall. But I feel like the Brazilians are happy because at the end of the day, you know, their two of their teams did end up coming in the top three. So I feel like that's something to celebrate, if nothing
I mean,
else.
the only like silver lining was that it made that match much more intense, I guess, as a viewer. But
Oh
but
God.
but
If you were a G2 fan, you're never gonna recover from that because they
yeah,
were up 10-2, okay? And then they lose in overtime the way they did. Again on split. Like the time they got knocked down to the lower bracket, it was on split and they lost a 1v3 to Daiki. And this game, it was again like in overtime, they lose that overtime and it was just like MIB are winning, making that insane comeback. Like, ouch, bro. If you're a G2 fan,
yeah.
that sucks.
Poor Akita as well. Like I really felt for her. Like so that was the thing where it did. Like the fans is one thing. Like some of the stuff that was like on stage was a bit out of order. I feel like so when like Akita is there like bawling her eyes out, clearly had nothing to do with the situation the day before, and then like SRN is like dancing and waving at her goodbye, and like Akita is literally like blubbering in tears. Like wasn't very nice, I think. And it's still she was getting it online as well. Like people using the picture of her crying to like attack G2. Like again, she had nothing to do with it. Props to Lisa for eventually being the one to like try and like tone it down a bit. So she was one that came out doing a tweet eventually saying like, "Look, guys, we've had we've had a bit of fun with it, but let's just leave it there. Like the player made a mistake. They've apologized. Like the stuff's got out of line." And then even to that, she was getting replies saying, "No, no, no, this person was racist. Don't let her off the hook." And um, the racist person isn't the victim, and all stuff like that. Like, it just baffles me that people could like see that situation and actually be convinced that Amy is a racist person off of that. She may be behind closed doors, who knows? But I don't think there's
I
anything
don't
that she's done that you could like definitely paint it that way.
I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't see the percentage in her being racist because I'm pretty sure,
That's what
like,
I'm saying.
maybe
It'd
she
be like the
doesn't,
same
but
as
at
any
least,
other
like,
player, basically, is what I'm saying there. Whether we don't
yeah,
know.
I feel like everybody's got like a bit of a dickhead in them, but I don't know. I just, like you said, there's just no percentage in her for being a racist. Like, what she's part of G2, she's like in her like nascent career. She's barely 21. People make mistakes on the internet. I generally don't think she was being malicious by any means. And honestly, another thing to think about is that that emoji looks different on so many different phones. Like, you know, in one case it looks like a monkey scratching itself. In another case it just looks like it's sleeping. It's an orangutan technically. You know, it's not even a monkey. It's an ape if you want to be like scientific about it. Not that that will make the Brazilians feel better. I apologize, but I mean, it's like two sides, right? Because number one, you have people from Europe who might not know the full context of it, especially, you know, if you're a gamer who maybe doesn't watch sports
But
or
even that, what I would say there, because
is on
like
the internet constantly.
what I see people comparing, people saying like, "Oh, don't you know any sports? Don't you know about like Vinicius Junior that gets a lot of
See, I
monkey
don't know.
emojis?"
I didn't know about
So,
that until
but
I
there's,
googled it because I
but
don't
the thing
fucking watch
is,
football. So
so that is true. Like, yeah, that guy gets horrible stuff, like really, really horrible. Oh, did I lose you for a second?
oh yeah, I
Oh,
think
I
it's
think you're
back
back. There
now.
you go. Yeah, so
Hello.
that guy gets like really horrible stuff. From what I have always understood, people do that like because he's got dark skin. Like it's not in Europe when racist football fans do that to him. It's not because he's Brazilian. They do it as a thing of being racist at him for being a black guy. So even like when you
They're not
know
particularly racist. They're just colorist. Yeah.
exactly. So
Ouch.
when you have like when you're if you're like a European sports fan and you say, oh, you should know about it, that's what from Europe, like at least speaking personally, that's where I would have seen people having that connotation and using that kind of emoji. So I would never. That's what I'm saying. Like I would never have even known that that was a thing for all of Brazil, and even European sports fans that know of people using these emojis against players wouldn't have known it against Brazilians on the whole. So
I didn't know it until this
yeah,
tweet. And I think, like, I mean, I understand that Brazilians have dealt with a lot of racism and hatred, and their feelings are valid, but they also need to realize that the world is pretty big, you know? Like, for example, if I'm from Asia, I'm not gonna know that. And maybe, like, somebody who's constantly on their PC playing games all day, who's like 20 years old in Europe, might not know the context either. So I feel like we should have a little bit more open-mindedness towards it,
yeah,
especially if they haven't committed any of these offenses before. But I can also understand why that would like annoy you as a Brazilian, you know,
yeah,
constantly
sure.
people giving you racist shit. So of course you're gonna be like you're not gonna be able to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I feel like
Yeah.
there's a very fine line that you have to navigate
Yeah, and
for
I don't
it.
expect them
But
to be like Amy's
seeing
biggest fan. It's just that, yeah, once she's come out and said like I apologise for that, I had no idea. I guess the problem is also, yeah, her first follow-up tweet didn't really apologise. She just said like, oh yeah, I've deleted it. I
I'm
didn't know
sorry
what
if
it
I
meant.
made you feel bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's not about you making them feel bad. It's just like, you know,
yeah,
it's hard. I feel bad for Amy for everything that happened, and honestly, I think the villain of the situation is just Carlos at this point. Like, if he had kept his big fat mouth shut, it probably wouldn't have escalated this much. Because I remember, like, it wasn't just Amy getting hate; it was all of G2 getting hate after they lost. Because I remember, like, bro, they were bullying Akita, like this 18-year-old kid who's like spending her first tournament, who's playing like her first international tournament. They were like taking pictures of her crying and retweeting it with Carlos's "cry is free" tweet. And I'm like, yo, what did this kid do to you? Like, okay, fine, Amy made the mistake. You have some maybe valid, maybe invalid feeling towards Amy. Carlos definitely yapped some shit. You should definitely hate the guy for what he said. I understand that. But what did Akita do? She's like an 18-year-old kid. It's her first year playing in VCT. Like, why do you have to
and they
hate
say
her?
like, oh, but
It
in
makes
the
no sense.
during the match, she was waving at the MIBR players. I was like, yeah, people do like
I mean, come
players
on,
stand up
it's
and do stuff
waving.
the
Like,
whole
SR.
game. It's different. It's different
Exactly.
in the game
Like,
while it's going on compared to like, okay, the game's finished. Now the emotions kick in. She's crying her
I
eyes out,
mean,
and then just like then it's actually just cruel. I think.
there were like a couple of wild things. Like, I mean, if you want to get like, if you want to be offended by people doing things on stage, SR literally did like the, you know, head off emoji to Giants at the end of their game. You know, I think that's like a part of competitive sports. You can like say these things or do these things. Honestly, I think like even suspending the SR coach for showing his middle finger was like a bit overboard. But that's just me. I have like a higher tolerance for this kind of shit. So maybe I'm like a bit biased about it. But I also do think that in this case, like players bullying like an 18-year-old debut player who didn't even say anything on the internet, all she did was play the game, is a bit overboard. So yeah, I think fans definitely need to kind of learn to keep it in their pants because at the end of the day, they are playing a tournament. They are professional players who have been contracted to play a tournament, and maybe we should just concentrate on the good plays
Yeah.
instead of bringing all of this bullshit into like
Yeah.
places that are both on and off the server. Because at the end of the day, yeah, it doesn't do good for anybody.
Yeah. It was just a shame all round. And actually, there's I feel like the Carlos thing. I feel like people just are maybe like misinformed of his situation as well. Maybe because like, especially in Valorant. Actually, to be fair, I think League fans don't really get it half the time either. But in Valorant, it happened like before partnership really kicked off, so people don't really maybe had not been following G2 and League that closely. But because I see people say like people had made the connection of him being with G2, and that's why it's fair game essentially to go at the G2 players because he's part of G2. Um, whereas like day to day, he has, as far as I know, like
No control.
no involvement. But then I also see on the other end people say no, he has nothing to do with G2 anymore. He had to sell his shares, blah blah blah, and like, which also isn't true. So from what I know, he is like still a, I
A
don't even know,
stakeholder, yeah.
maybe even a majority owner still. Like I don't. He was never made to sell off anything. All that happened was like he
Mm-hmm.
stepped down from operations. So I get why, like, you can make the connection. He's still part of it. He obviously has nothing to do with it. Like these players would have likely, oh, I don't know how long, depending on how long they've been signed. Maybe they might have met him way back in the day, but certainly they wouldn't have anything to do with him on a day-to-day basis. But also at the same time, I see people saying, even like for like Akita, like people say, okay, it's out of order to joke about her crying, and they say, oh well, but she didn't come out saying, denouncing what her boss Carlos said. It's like, well, part of the
Not
point,
her
like,
boss though, like,
well, he's like still like to a degree, he's paying their bills. Like he's still a large owner in the company. It's still his company, even though he's not like doing much with it. It could still work, like not be the best idea to publicly say shit about someone that owns the company that you work for. Like at the end of the day, they're an employee of G2, and not to put words in their mouth, but they probably don't like what he's tweeting. You could probably make that assumption quite fairly, I think. So yeah, that's where it's just a bit of a shame that it happened, especially for this tournament, which is like a tournament to bring this community together and like champion this community, and then to have something a bit shit like that. Bit unfortunate, really. Let's talk about some nicer stuff that happened at GC as well. Um, what angle do you want to go with? Because I feel like there was like a few nice stories and things that came out of it from from all your interviews and stuff as well. Who was your favorite person to
Oh
interview?
yeah. Honestly, I really liked talking to Bastarda and Daiki both. I feel like they're both very wholesome people. I really like the lore behind Bastarda's name because this is a question that I've been asking myself for the last like 3 years. Why did she call herself Bastard? And turns out it's just because she really liked Inglorious Bastards as a movie, and
Good
I can
taste.
respect that. So that was good taste, good taste. Yeah. So that was
But can we
like
just call
something
it
really cool.
bastard now, or do we have to? Because when I
I
see
think
it
we still have to say Bastarda for
off, well,
legal reasons.
off of an official broadcast, because
Yeah, I think that's fine.
when I like yeah when I read it before I heard the name, and I read it, I was like, that called bastard. And then I hear people say like bastarda, bastarda. I was thinking, is that actually how you say it? It just looks like bastard to me. And then so it's nice to I felt vindicated when I saw her clarify that. So, and I don't know if you saw Ardis tweeted as well, like his GC goats, and he had like all the big hitters listed, and then for her he just wrote the word bastard. I didn't try and put like how she spells her name, just wrote bastard, which I thought was quite funny.
I have had this question for so many years. Like, why is her name Bastard? Like, was she just pissed at somebody? Was it like some random string of letters that came out this way? But it's good to have that answered. I also really like talking to Pansy. I'm like a big fangirl. So, getting to interview like somebody who I'm a big fan of is always very. Well, I mean, I used to feel very awkward doing it because I would be like kind of like spellbound, but these days I feel like I've gotten better at it. So honestly, I feel like most of the interviews that we got were pretty banger, with the players and with the talents as well. I think that it was very wholesome to hear. I think that I really like Daiki in particular because she talked about her journey, being 15 years old, joining like Fallen's Academy, getting like his old
That was crazy,
keyboard
yeah.
and stuff. And she mentioned like, in her post-game interview, she mentioned that he actually wished her luck before the tournament and that she was playing with his literal keycaps. I find that really wholesome. Just like you being your hero, giving you his keycaps and his peripherals and stuff growing up, and like training you, and then telling you to switch to Valorant because the game is good. I felt so vindicated, by the way, because of that. Like Fallen the GOAT saying Valorant is a good game. All of you people fighting about whether CS is better than Valorant, be like Fallen, be like an adult. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has called Fallen an adult before like this, but it's okay. I find him chill, so yeah. So that was really cute. Just so wholesome, like winning your tournaments with your heroes keycaps. That was also a very wholesome thing because I made like a tweet about it and it popped off. I think it's gotten like 750K views already. But yeah, basically, Isa and Daiki, two of the players on TL, are the first esports couple to win a tournament together in the history of esports, and I found that very, very wholesome. Like, if we're gonna be making historic firsts, I feel like that's a very good first to talk about here. So probably one of the cooler moments of the tournament, especially because I felt like nobody outside the Brazilian community kind of knew that they were a couple. So I just remember people on the internet like losing their minds over it. It was so funny.
Yeah, you're an influencer now off that one. Like
Just
3K
off
likes
that
on
one,
it.
I feel like that's my biggest hit tweet. Yeah, like 2.5 or something. I didn't check
Not
the
bad,
last one
not
I
bad.
checked last time I checked, but yeah, we
But
we
yeah,
getting up there.
on the Fallen thing, I looked into it a little bit. So it was this little thing he did with 4 players. I think Daiki said that actually anyway. But yeah, it was like four
Hmm.
players, and then she's a world champion now in GC, and then one of the other ones is an 18-year-old guy now who was like 13 at the time, called Snow, and he's a CS player that plays with Pain Gaming and played against Fallen at a major this year. So out of
Wow.
the 4, 2 of them are like full-on pros now, and
Pros.
there's like a third one that is in CS that's like not as successful, but is still grinding it and is like playing in loads of tournaments. And like what Daiki said, where the like Fallen store was her sponsor, like they sponsor this other third player as well. So it's nice that he's like supported them, and actually, yeah, half of the 4 when they were literally just random children have ended up being like full-on pro gamers. That's crazy.
I think it's also cool that I think Daiki mentioned explicitly that he wanted to make sure there was at least like one girl in this group, which is why she ended up getting picked. And I really appreciate that because I feel like it's very important to have that kind of space just so that there can be like more pros. Because I always see people on the internet being like, haha, if esports is equal, why aren't more women professional players? And that's just because, it's hard to get that kind of opportunity. Like even when I was a kid, I would get way more shit for playing video games than my male cousins playing games, for example. So I think it's important to have that kind of investment and that kind of care more than anything. Like seeing somebody who you idolize actually caring enough to make sure that you make it in a lot of ways is something that Daiki felt very grateful for in her interview as well. And I don't know, it was just such a wholesome thing to see. I feel like a lot of these projects don't really get talked about, but yeah, like shout out to Fallen for doing all of that. And like you said, it's amazing that 2 of the 4 players are already pros. One of them actually won an international. So who knows what the other 2 are going to be doing. It's just really cute. It's a really feel good story. So that was probably my feel good story of the tournament. That and Daiki winning with her girlfriend. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just so romantic to me. Like, what's more romantic than winning a trophy together with the girl that you've been dating for 5 years? Especially like they started on opposite teams. I remember in 2021 there was this tweet, and I think Daiki was on a team and Isa was on the opposite team, and they used to play against each other. And then Daiki joined TL and Isa joined with her, and they've been like playing together for so many years. They made like 2 top 3s, so I feel like it's just nice to be able to finally lift that trophy.
Just might get awkward if one of them starts playing dodgy and gets kicked, hey. But but hopefully that doesn't happen.
Um, Oh God. I mean, there was a lot of flack as well, because I think people were kind of annoyed when Bastarda got kicked because Issa had like worse stats, so as to speak. But apparently it wasn't like a stat issue, it was more of a team chemistry issue from my understanding. And it seems like, I mean, Bastarda and Daiki still seem to be good friends because I saw them like hugging
Yeah,
after
that
she
was
won the
nice.
trophy. So there's no bad blood between them. Like they understand why it happened. I did feel bad for Bastarda because she really wanted to. She in her interview she said she wanted to be like the queen of Latam. So I guess finishing third doesn't really make her feel that good, but it's nice. Still, 2 Brazilian teams in the top 3.
And props
Pretty
to her
impressive results.
for being able to like she was in the arena watching it, presumably cheering on TL, her previous teammates. I don't know for sure, but
She
um,
was wearing an SRG jersey at
oh,
the
was
after
she?
party, so
Oh,
I
the
don't
offer.
know
Oh,
about
right.
that.
Maybe not then. But
Yeah, so
um,
maybe she was supporting both. She was just there to watch good
yeah,
Valorant, or maybe she was wearing the TL jersey in the arena and switched to the SR one later
yeah.
to show
Well, because
like commiserations or something.
in your in your interview where she was saying like when she got kicked, like her world was crushed, and like clearly was like
Mm-hmm.
was a really tough moment for her. And then like imagine being kicked off the team, and then a few months later they bloody win the championship without you. Like that would sting. And for her to be there, like to be able to congratulate Daiki, like not to say she's like a spiteful person or something, but that would like it would be natural to feel a bit
Yeah, I
hurt
would
in
be
that moment as
pissed.
well. Like um, again, they're probably
Yeah,
still
like if I played
friends,
for
and
a
you want your
team
friends to
and
do
like
well. But I would be annoyed that they've just won without me. Like that would just, I would be not able to not have that feeling.
yeah, I completely agree with you, dude. I'm not that graceful a person. Like if somebody kicked me without warning, traded me, and ended up winning without me, like I was somehow the problem, I would be fucking pissed. Like I would be so annoyed. Like maybe I wouldn't be preying on their downfall, but I wouldn't be happy either. But yeah, her having the grace to deal with it with that level of maturity was very nice. And I mean, even the reactions from Shopify as well, because I remember like on stage, right after they lost, Mel gave like Daiki a really big hug and they were talking for a few minutes. And I was like, okay, fine, let me ask her what she said. And she said, like, yeah, take this momentum, go to challengers, you're gonna kill it next year. You're like in good shape. And I feel like if anybody can say that, it's Mel because I think her team is the one team that has actually played in challengers. They took down TSM, which is really impressive considering that TSM was a second place in Ascension. So the fact that TL was able to beat them, there were Casey took a map off SRG. Like the whole level of GC this year seems like much more better compared to the last 2 years. And it was just a very impressive tournament to watch overall. Like yeah, kind of sucked if you're a fan of any region apart from the Americas, but even otherwise, there were some really banger games. And overall, the like in terms of like how players were playing, their macro and even some micro plays as well. I think it was just so much better than the last 2 years. It was a really good tournament in terms of that, especially because it was on the new patch as well, right? I think this is the first tournament that was played on the new patch after they bullied all the initiators into oblivion. So I felt like it was nice to kind of see they were really good at adapting to it. Like even though the team said they kind of hated it, they were able to do it and make it like look insane, especially considering some teams only have like a couple of weeks to adapt. So like I think LCQ team, for example, MIBR barely had like 2 weeks to be able to adapt to it because they played the LCQ on the old patch, not the new patch. So it's kind of wild, all the shit that they had to go through, and they still made it out looking so cool. So
Yeah,
it's not
sure.
nice.
Um, and yeah, poor Alexis as well. Like in your interview, saying how she was just been the guinea pig for
Oh God.
Shopify, and like shit, her saying that they want to try a new agent, and so she like spends all day learning a new agent, and then they do like one scrim, they hate it, and then she's just wasted her time. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that not maybe not always to that extreme, but we knew that was going to happen with the tournament being on the new patch. Really, it's a shame that teams are going to be fucked up a bit. And I guess maybe even more props to Daiki in that way as well. Like obviously she was the MVP, so she's had plenty of props, but um, to be the one, like I guess it's probably you'd guess maybe more a coaching responsibility, but for the IGL certainly as well, like tactical stuff. And when there's such big changes like this, you imagine she would have had a big hand to play in yeah, figuring out the meta and figuring out how they're going to play. And then
I
she
mean, she
just
was also playing in the scan initiator, right? Like flex initiator role. Like she was mostly playing breach and fade throughout the tournament. So she was probably one of the people who got bullied the most by the patch. So she had to figure out her own util. She had to IGL for the team. And except for that grand final, every other game she was like basically top fragging the heck out. So yeah, like I cannot just think of a player who deserved MVP more. Like, funnily enough, I was one of the people asked to vote on the MVP this year at GC Champs. So I submitted my predictions right around like the halftime mark of the last map because even though it was 6-6, I just had a feeling like yeah, Daiki's gonna absolutely mog these people. She wants it so bad. So yeah, and they ended up winning like 13-6. I think they lost like one round in the entire half, like the second half. So they were just so dominant. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be right. I can't think of a single person than Daiki who deserved it more because I was like thinking, okay, what if SRG win? Who deserves it then? And I don't know because I don't think there's a precedent for the losing team
I
getting
think
like
they
an
just
MVP
wouldn't.
award
Yeah,
so far.
I know that because I was asked to vote at the champs final as well, and they don't tell you like you have to vote for a winner, but I feel like it's kind of presumed, like
I feel like yeah.
it's never happened. It it would be nice if it could happen. I feel like at Toronto I would have given Alfie. Yeah, that was like the one that pops out as where the losing team probably did have the best performing player. But then also it's just it would still be nice for the, if you're a losing player but you played best, it would obviously be nice after the fact to be
Consolation.
recognized. But at the same time, when you've just lost and you're like, this other team just lifted the trophy, it wouldn't feel amazing, I think, to be like dragged back on the stage to give you this other award when like you're still pissed off that you lost. Like it happened. I remember one World Cup. When was it? 2014, I think. 2014 World Cup. That they award like a best player of the tournament, which is obviously a bit different because it can, when you focus on the whole tournament, it can easily be someone that wasn't even in the final. And they gave it to Lionel Messi, who wasn't in the final, I think. Actually, I don't remember. I think maybe he was in the final, but
Hey, as one of the football
but
players I actually know, I recognize the name. That's
yeah,
dope.
but basically his team didn't win the tournament, but he got awarded best player, so they had him out like to give him the trophy, and he's just like
You just
completely
look pissed.
miserable. Actually, yeah, in the last World Cup where Messi did win it, Kylian Mbappe got like the top goal scorer award, and again they had to bring that out. He has to pose for the trophy, but he's just lost the bloody World Cup, and he's like not
Oh yeah, I
got,
remember that. That guy was popping off, bro. Like I
yeah,
remember
like
seeing people
uh,
like tweeting about him, and honestly, good for him. Like, sure, your team lost, but at least you won something.
yeah.
Let's go.
But I just mean like in those moments, like it's nice for the player to have it eventually, I imagine, but for like a broadcast moment to bring this person out, give them an award, it actually is just like not really a nice moment to see when the player's like pissed off because they lost. So in that sense, I can see the benefit of focusing on a winner because they're actually happy. So it's actually an all round nice moment still. And yeah, bless her Daiki, like when she's just like crying nonstop through all the things. Like, she could barely probably see the trophy. Um, Good job she didn't have those sunglasses on anymore. But yeah, it
I,
was.
I asked her. I was like, "Hey, can you please wear the sunglasses
Oh
for our
really?
interview?" So they actually, yeah. So she had like their manager go find them, and we waited like 5 minutes so we could get the glasses because I thought they looked so banger, and she was
Yeah.
completely willing to do it. So she was like, "Yeah, I can't really see the chair. Help me sit down because those glasses do not offer a lot of visibility." But it was still like really nice. So it was. I don't know. I appreciated it.
Yeah.
It was a nice gesture from her.
One thing I did notice after the fact, I was looking at some of the stuff on esports charts, just curious how the viewership looked, and it did dip like a fair bit from last year. I guess it's the time zone issue. I saw people like American fans complain about that, where it's in Korea,
Haha. Ha
and
ha ha.
you don't feel bad for them. Is that what you're used to then?
No, not really, because when they have tournaments in Americas, we all stay up watching it like
Yeah.
4 a.m. or whatever. So, it's okay, man. They can suffer through it for once. It's fine. Like, I mean, the Brazilians had to wake up at 5 for the grand final. I didn't see any of them complaining, so it's fine.
So I guess the takeaway probably from that is that a massive chunk of the viewers are from the Americas. I suppose that's not like a huge surprise. Um, but I mean, it wasn't compared to the other GC championships. It's not like that horrendous, except for compared to last year. Last year it popped off. So the peak viewership for last year's was in the grand final 465,000. The years previous it hadn't breached 300. So like last year specifically was just like a massive boost compared to the other ones. Yeah, maybe not like worry signs, but then also I don't know about from like Riot's perspective how much priority they put into it anyway, because it is like it's not like a tournament you do like the main point of doing GC isn't to put on a big tournament that gets a ton of viewers specifically. Obviously it's going to be part of it, but the main thing is to like have this space for for non guys to play the game and have a tournament. So it just depends like what they prioritize when they're running it really. But even so, like I feel like with like these bigger games that we follow, like Valorant and League, and like obviously like for CS fans and stuff, you do get in like a bit of a bubble with viewership sometimes. Where if you just look at so many like non-top tier esports, like to get 200k viewers still is very good. And where it's a tournament that's all held in that only in their own arena over the course of 10 days, it's not like I can't imagine it's the most expensive tournament to run ever either. So it's not like that is a huge money sink for Riot compared to like their other bigger tournaments anyway. So I don't think it's too bad. Um, it just the only thing it makes me think of is when they did some of the decisions they've done for Ascension, where they've like trimmed things back and then cited viewership as a reason for not doing like more LAN things, and there I had the same thing like, well, is viewership the main point of Ascension? Isn't it really like to figure out which teams should play in tier one? So it just depends like what Riot see as like their actual priorities of a successful tournament for game changers. But anyway, 200k is like, yeah, not exactly bad for logistically what is kind of a small tournament. Like it's not a million teams there. It's in one location that you own, so you're not having to pay rental costs for the venue or anything. So I doubt they're that worried. Anyway,
No, I think
yeah.
yeah, I don't really I agree with what you said there. And I mean in terms of viewership, I think the time zone also probably made a difference. And it doesn't really count the watch parties either, from what I understand. And I know a lot of people were leaning towards watch parties for like the drops and stuff, so from my understanding.
Oh, what do you
So
mean, like
there were also like a
co-streams?
bunch of
I think it should count
uh
co-stream.
it does. I'm not sure because sometimes it doesn't seem like it does.
Oh,
But
right.
I think one of the things that I noticed was there were also like a lot of. There was one drop in particular that people were really mad they couldn't get. Like I know I'm sidetracking here, but it was only for people viewing on Soup, and it's really hard to sign up for Soup, especially like if you're in Korea but you don't have like a Korean number because it doesn't let you sign up. So I missed out on that drop.
Ah.
But yeah, like I feel like maybe like a quick. I think the time zones definitely caused like problems, but also it was very impressive because most of the days the arena was actually decently full, and I was like, damn. And there was mostly locals coming as well, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate like Korean
Because
people
I
being so into esports,
watching it
so
on
it's kind of
broadcast, I
nice.
worried after like the first day where I think Ninetales played on the first day and it was like full, and I think they played the first match. Or I don't know if it was the first day. Whenever they had their first match, and it was one of the first of the two series, and they played and it was full. And then once they were done, and the next match happened without a Korean team in it, it was like totally empty. And I was like, oh shit, is this gonna be like this most of the
To
time? But
be
thankfully it wasn't.
to be fair, also the second game always ended up going a bit late because by the time the first game ended, it was already like 8 or even sometimes 9, like 8:30 or so. So people started leaving like in the middle of the second game because I know a lot of because the metro closes at like midnight, right? So also people I guess just want to go home, get dinner, relax a bit. So I feel like a lot of people left if it was the second game in the middle of it because they wanted to they would start leaving around like 9:30, 10. Very few people stayed until the end. So like I mean every single day I was leaving it was like 11:30 or 12 unless it was like a quick 2-0 for both games. So if any of the games went to a third series, I was not getting out of there before 11. So yeah, it was the timings were a bit long. So yeah, that could also be a reason I think.
Yeah, makes sense. Any final thoughts on game changers before we move on to other stuff?
Honestly, I think this year was really incredible in terms of skill level, and I'm not sure if because I didn't see Riot really talk about it, and I didn't get a chance to corner Leo Faria and like ask him a couple of questions, like, hey, answer questions about the slot distribution next year. But I think that one thing that I really found interesting was Mel mentioning that teams who are playing in both GC and Challengers actually got like a bunch of accommodations, like they didn't have to play, they got like a buy in one of the premier rounds and stuff like that, and one of the challenger rounds as well, which made them which is because of conflicting schedules and stuff, from my understanding. But that really helped them to be able to make it there. And once they did make it, they were able to show that they belonged. Maybe if not like having the most successful performance for a challengers team for a team that made it to challengers for the first year, it was generally impressive. Like a lot of the games that they did play, and I think that especially with next year with tier 2 connecting directly to champions, I feel like yeah, that's something that GC teams should definitely kind of look at because the skill gap has gotten narrower and narrower. I feel like there's a lot of players in the GC scene who could definitely play in tier 2 if not tier 1 at some point. So yeah, I mean even if Apex were like arguably the worst team in EMEA last year, Florissant by herself was putting up good numbers in most of these games. So yeah, I would like to see more GC players eventually join like the main circuit. And I mean, Mel already said if she got a VCT offer from any team, she would be willing to like, leave. So I'm just saying, this is Pacific or EMEA or even China's chance to kind of steal like one of the goats, get her away from North America, steal her away.
Boom
So I'm
Esports
just
now that they
pointing it
need
out there.
to desperately make a roster quickly.
Oh, that would be so funny. Imagine. Boom Mel. I love that name to be honest. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, sure. Um,
But yeah, it was a great tournament, and it was such a pleasure to watch. It was so good. I mean, seeing GC people play in the same arena that Faker plays every year, it's kind of banger.
It was cool how they well, I saw like the sign of Lowell Park saying Val Park. I don't know, like what stuff did
Yeah.
they have around? Because I know there's like a room. I think I saw actually a picture of it. So there's a room where they have like a little stand dedicated to each team. It's usually like the LCK teams, and they have like the jersey and things
I
like that.
actually took a video of it, yeah. So I'll have to send it to the our team here so we can try to make a vlog out of it. I haven't really shot a vlog before, so I did shoot a couple of videos. So there might be a GC vlog coming out soon, so you guys stay tuned. But yeah, there was a room with all the teams' jerseys lit up, especially except for the KC one. For some reason, the light above the KC one was broken, so it looked very depressing. But everything else was like lit up, so it looked very cool. It was right opposite the trophy as well. I remember the last time I went and checked to see if the trophy was on the stage, like if there was a duplicate trophy, and yeah, it was the actual trophy. So my one complaint about GC is why the heck does the trophy not have a cup in it? Because every other trophy for VCT, you know, I've seen people taking shots out of that shit. How are you supposed to take shots out of the GC one? There's no like gap for alcohol, man. Like, I mean, to be fair, also a lot of the players are like 18, which I feel like is below the legal age in their countries. But
True.
you know, you take my point, right? You know, you got to make it like something you can do shots out of at the after party, like the VCT teams do. But I digress. So I'll tell you what else was there. There was like a small artist area. They had like two or three people selling like their merch that they've been working on. Like I don't know why, but glasses cloths are like a big thing in Korea. Like, you know, the cloths that you wipe your glasses with. Like
Right.
DRX Academy was giving away some of them. T1 was giving away face masks to the first 50 people. I missed out. I was like number 52, so I missed out on getting like a T1 face mask, but it's okay. And yeah, so they had like a bunch of meet and greets because I remember seeing DRX. DRX actually, I think one of the players, I think it was Bane, I'm not sure. They had like signs when G2 was playing, and Bane just had a sign saying better than Flashback for Mimi's Yoru, and it was really funny. But yeah, there were like a couple of meet and greets, so you got to meet DRX, Gen.G, and T1 as well. So and Nongshim, basically all the Korean teams who were hanging around there. DRX Academy ran like a training session for people. Again, you had to come very early and sign up in person at like 10 in the morning if you wanted a slot, which I was too lazy to do. But that was pretty cool as well. There's a PC cafe right there, and you get like 5 free hours if you get like a ticket. So I was checking that out one day. Um, what else? They had like the Riot merch store, which is where I got this bad boy. And I also managed to get my hands on the 2023 Seoul jersey, which was kind of cool, like the Champions jersey from Seoul. So they were selling that. I was a bit miffed that I couldn't find like the Champions jacket from this year because I really want that jacket and it's just not in stock anywhere. And I'm really like annoyed about it because it's
When
like
I
a
was in
biker
Paris,
jacket.
like every other person was wearing like had bought that jacket, and I was thinking, I was like, oh, it's so nice. Let me go and have a look, and then it was like
150
150,
bucks.
150 euros, and I thought maybe I don't need it.
The worst part is I would pay it because it's genuinely comfy and it's like a good driving jacket and it has a lot of pockets which make it like useful. And I have a motorcycle, so it matches my motorcycle as well because my motorcycle is red and black. The jacket is red and black. So I'm telling you, man, if anyone can get me like an L or XL, I'll pay you for it. Like I just want the jacket at this point. So, um, yeah, so I couldn't find that, which was kind of annoying. They had like, let me see, the food shop. They had like an area where you could do like, you know, make your signs and stuff. They also had like a bunch of activities you could do, and you could like trade it in for like a lucky draw where you could get like cool shit. So you could either get stickers, you could get like this really cool bandana. If you were lucky, you could get like the t-shirt, like the crew neck, which I actually got on my last day. So every day I was going around, like you can do it once a day basically. So every day I was going around getting like the stamps done. You have to do a bunch of activities. So I think one of the activities is like playing a 1v1 skirmish against random people or your friend. One of the activities was looking at like a little pinhole, looking through a pinhole, and they'll show you like a corner of a map and you have to guess what map it is. And I got all of them right, which basically says that I need to go outside more. But apart from that, yeah, that was fun. You had to defuse the spike in exactly 7 seconds. You had to make like a sign and write on like the wall. They had like a big cheer wall. That was kind of cool as well. And they had like some random online quiz you could take. You could fill up a survey. So anyway, you get like 5 stamps and then you go do the lucky draw and you see what you get. They had stickers. They also had like a Rubik's cube. It's actually somewhere over there. Hold on, let me find it. But it was like a Rubik's cube, like shaped like a radionite box, which was I think really cool. Yeah, so you could get one of these bad boys as well, and I actually got one. Sorry, it's still for some reason the tape is still sealed on this. I swear I opened it, but Yeah, it's like a Rubik's Cube. And the problem is, I don't really know how to solve a Rubik's Cube in the first place. And I know there's like algorithms for that shit, but also the problem is, this is just green and gray. Like, how the heck do you solve this if you fuck it up?
Yeah.
I'm not, I can't use it, man. It's just gonna be like a little stand, I guess. I guess I can put my mosh on this. So, and there you go. That's my VCT merch. Beautiful.
Yeah, best you can do
But
now.
yeah,
Now that you've opened it and you've depreciated the value.
it's okay. I mean, I can just close it again. I'm not gonna sell it anyway. This is like rare merch, you know. I haven't seen this anywhere else, so I'm gonna keep it. It's a rare souvenir. But yeah, you could basically go around doing a lot of these activities and kill time between the games and stuff. And there was also like a lot of cosplayers. There was like this really cool looking Omen cosplayer, who had like lights on his face and everything. So you know, like how Omen has like the Monster Energy can face. All the Monster Energy lines were like lit up, so it looked pretty banger. I got a picture with him and what's her name, Viper, as well, like, you know, like showing like the little cute hearts, making like hearts with them, so it looked like they were my parents because they were both really tall and I was kind of short. So it was a very cute picture. I'll find it and send it to you later. But yeah, it was nice. There were like a lot of activities you could do around the arena. You could just talking to random people, because people were here from around the world. There was like a Indonesian influencer with like Valorant themed tarot cards. I don't know where the heck she got them, but they were so cool. And I talked to a bunch of the casters as well. They were like the LATAM casters who had come in for the event. So yeah, they were like cheering for crew, but then they were also like peripherally cheering for the Brazilian teams because, you know, region represent. And I remember seeing one of them crying when TL won. To be fair, I was also crying. Like when I saw Daiki crying, I was like, oh no, why is someone cutting onions around here? It was very emotional.
But yeah, like
But
see,
yeah,
like
there were a lot of fun
Gen
things.
Lee couldn't hold it back hardly as well. Like when she was interviewing Daiki, and Daiki was still crying, emotional.
I feel like Daiki cried more after winning than she did after losing in 2023 in that grand final. But honestly, like she deserves it, man. She's been carrying so much. So yeah, good for her. And I really hope this we get to see her in challengers next year. But yeah, it was really nice. Lowell, like Val Park, I feel like is a much better name than Lowell Park. I might be a little bit biased here, but it was very cool. They also made like there's like this little thing that you look at when you come on the escalator, and
Yeah.
I think it just used to be like the LCK logos, but they made it like a GC themed thingy. There was like a lot of GC themed stuff around there. I was trying to convince Riot to give me like the leftover canvas posters that were hanging, but they were like, "Oh, they're stuck to the wall. We need to remove them with the
Ah,
industrial stuff, so you can't have one." And I was like, "Oh, okay, fine. RIP, but fine." So random, but yeah,
glad you had fun. Sounds like a good event.
it was really good. It was a really good event. It was my
It's
first
nice to
ever
like,
GCC, and I feel like it's the best one. So
yeah, it's nice like just for the players to have it in a such a nice place as well. Like, no, I don't need. I wouldn't be the first person to do it, but obviously all the players kind of rag on Berlin all the time, where it was last year, and it's just not exactly a place that they're that keen to go. Whereas, yeah, Seoul is just nicer. Really, there's so much to do. The food's amazing. And
my
yeah,
favorite part
every
is
player you spoke
everybody
to loved it.
suffered while getting there. Like everybody had like an insane flight to
Oh,
take.
really?
I had like a 12-hour flight. The Europeans had like a 12-hour flight. I feel bad for the Brazilians because they had like a 30-hour flight. So it's probably the worst for them. But yeah, the Americans had like a 10 to 12, 15-hour flight depending on where in the US you're flying from. East Coast versus West Coast. But yeah, it was really nice to see, because usually I'm the only person who has like these double-digit hour flights, and everybody else is like, oh yeah, haha, I flew in from Paris, it was only 1 hour. I flew in from America, it was only 7 hours, and then this time everybody would cross like the 10 mark. So a small part of me was very
Solidarity.
happy about that.
Yeah, cool. Right, so let's maybe move on to some other news now then. Um, let's start with we'll do the general updates, and then after that we can go into some roster stuff and kind of see how many of them we can
Ooh,
get through.
okay.
In terms of the general
Okay, okay.
updates, there was like a pretty broad like article that Riot put out yesterday, I think, or the day before, just with a bunch of updates on the season really. One nice thing straight away is that they've given the schedule for like all of the big tournaments throughout the year, which is a big help for any kind of travel arrangements, or if you're planning to go and work events, that helps as well. Um, some
Hashtag
interesting bits.
visas.
Yeah, exactly. Some interesting bits that I noticed. First of all, and they've kind of given a bit more detail on Master Santiago as well. There's gonna be quite like a big break, I think, in the middle of it, isn't there? So actually, if I go down, I think we've got the dates on it towards here. So you've got like the first stages, which finishes on the 10th. Actually, I guess it's not the biggest break, but I'm sure there was.
I think it was like 2 days or 3 days. I'm not sure, something like that.
Maybe I misread something then. I thought it was a bit bigger. So actually, yeah, it's like a 3-day break, which isn't that crazy then. I'm talking out my arse, I think. But there we go. So, Masters Santiago, you've got a couple of weeks. What did also interest me is the stage 2 season finals. So where now they've said like every region is going to have a LAN or like
Let's
obviously they have
go.
a LAN final, but like yeah, some kind of arena or some kind of roadshow finals. They on the graphic they put some dates on here. I'm having to go up to my screen to see it. I feel like this is me
If it
doing
makes
my.
you feel better, I think we had all of those mentioned as well in our article. So,
I think we just got
I'm not sure about the
August,
land dates,
September,
but
because it said it did have date August 6th to September 8th for the season finals. No, I was just doing my best cosplay of the players that have their screen like right here, and I wonder how they couldn't be seeing me. But it was really broad. I don't know how. I I don't know what exactly, or I don't really know how to read into that because if you just thought, if from what I would have
I think
imagined,
I
it would
think
be
they mean it
like
for multiple regions, not just
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. So it's either that there's a quite a broad difference in the dates they could finish, which would be little bit odd. That's like a month change. Because when they first said there'd be season finals, what I had presumed with it would be that if we kind of take the way that things work at the moment, it's that basically like you'd have every region would have like a final weekend where you've got like a few days back to back, like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I would have just presumed those would be in an arena somewhere. In which case, it's basically each region would have a weekend in an arena, and then it wouldn't necessarily have like it wouldn't really need a broad range of dates. Like maybe one of them is a week after the other ones or something. So to see a month difference would either mean that they are going to be a massive difference in when the regions finish, which would be a bit odd, or
hmm
one of them at least. I guess maybe it's because maybe like it counts with China where that's going to be like all road shows. But I mean, at least one of them is going to have a season finals that is actually like the full thing is maybe in a longer time span, or maybe I don't know. Maybe season finals they just mean the whole of playoffs. Could even be that as well. Actually, saying it now, that probably seems more likely. So you'd have stage 2 in the region, and then season finals is when the challengers teams come in, and then that's like the full playoffs thing. So I've kind of just taught myself round to actually what's probably the more likely scenario, which I'm guessing is that. So they're going to kind of brand the playoffs as season finals, is my new guess. And then we see from that as well. I think they had the date on here, didn't they? I'm trying to see of champions, September the 24th. So there's going to be like at least like 2 weeks, I think, from season finals to the champs, which is like I think roughly about what they had this year anyway. As long as there's no one that gets like 4 or 5 weeks, then I think that's all fine. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say on that. Oh yeah, also so they've said the kickoff format, and it's pretty much what you would have expected,
triple.
where they said that it was the triple elim. So it's basically like it pretty much starts the same way that kickoff worked already, where you get like a few of the higher seeds that get a bye into the next round. Just the difference now is that it goes into a whole, a further bracket at the bottom there. So you just work through an extra bracket to get the third representative to go to Santiago, which makes sense. One thing I wish they would
It,
change. Oh, go on. What were you gonna say on that?
I was just gonna say it's nice that it's 3 teams instead of 2 teams because I always hated these 8 team masters. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it feels really sad, just to have 8 teams playing. So it's much more fun with 12. But I also think for the format, it really sucks that there's no like epic grand final of the top 2 teams. But I mean, I understand why, but also like I just really like watching grand finals. So not
Yeah.
having that is kind of a bit sad.
True. But also having teams get to play at least 3 matches before they have like a 2 month break is quite nice as well. They do feel for the teams that like start off
Definitely
a bit
helps.
shit. Well, especially like that the whole Apex not winning a game. Like they only played like 12 games over the whole year. It's a bit of a joke. So at least they'll play 13 games or they won't, but at least the other teams will play minimum like 13 games or so. Um, one thing I kind of wish they would change is, and I guess they haven't exactly outlined that they're not changing it, but where the stages will split the leagues into two groups, which is obviously what they did last year already. But then it was kind of split. They like took, what the seeding from the previous stage, and they kind of split it evenly so that the groups should have roughly even strength teams. One thing that they did in a couple of League of Legends regions this year is that, and LCK is one that stands out, where it worked the best, which is the Korean League. They took what happened in like the first stage. So let's imagine you take the seeding from kickoff, and instead of going like, okay, first seed here, second seed here, third seed, fourth seed, and kind of splitting them evenly, they just took the top six, like it would be in this case, take the top 6 seeds, put them in one group, bottom 6 go in another group. So all the best teams play each other, the worst teams play each other, and then the way it worked is like the top 6, or the top of the top 6 groups, like the top 4 of them would go to playoffs, and then the bottom 2 would face against like the top 2 from the lower group, and they would have like a mini thing between those 4 for like the other 2 teams to go to playoffs, something like that. And what that meant is that you get more matches of the top teams, so you don't get like, you don't split the 2 most exciting matchups into different groups, and then you don't get to see them play unless they draw each other in the playoffs, which isn't guaranteed to happen. So make sure you get more matches with the better teams, and also for the worst teams, they can like win a game as well. Maybe if Apex got to play against Gentlemates a few more times, maybe they could have got a win or something there. So it's kind of like in a way a little bit worse for the worst teams because they don't get to play against the better ones, and maybe it's not as exciting for viewership for those matches. But certainly you get more of the the big heavyweights against each other, which you obviously don't get if you split them apart into separate groups. Because then what happened is that in League of Legends, in Korea and China, they did this where they called it like Ascension Group and then the Challengers Group or something like that. I can't remember the exact names. But then in their European league, they did what they did in Valorant, where they just split it in 2, and everybody absolutely hated it. I feel like in Valorant, everyone's just kind of used to it because that's just how it's been, so they don't really see it as an issue. But in League of Legends,
Blame as much.
where
Yeah.
they put it in and it never happened before, everyone was like, "Why the fuck have you done this?" Now there's no G2 versus Fnatic, or like you're not getting these big teams against each other until the playoffs for like kind of arbitrary reasons. So I think it'd be good a rethink there, just so that we can get some more of the banger matchups and not just split teams up and not have them face each other for kind of like no reason really. That was my 2 cents. The other things on this as well then, so that they've kind of just reiterated about the challenger teams going to playoffs. I don't think there was really any new stuff on that specifically. There was a revelation on the so in challengers, OCE is gone, right? So the
God,
OC
yeah.
League has just been nuked. And I think, did they say like the players are free to play in like any of the other
I
leagues or
think
something?
it's just Premier. I mean, I'm guessing that they can, but it's gonna be really hard for them because OCE is just so far away from literally every other
Yeah,
Pacific server that they get like really shit ping. I remember reading like OCE players having tryouts with Pacific teams and stuff, and if they couldn't, if they were in OCE, they constantly had to perform at like 80 or 70
right.
ping, or
Not
100
ideal.
ping, which is not exactly optimal for showcasing your abilities. So from my understanding, it's just Premier that's the only route right now to go anywhere to the other leagues. And I mean, I understand why, because, okay, so I don't know how much you know about the OC thing, but I used to actually cast challengers like a few years ago for them. And even though I didn't really have a bad experience, I know a lot of people who did with the TO there.
Right.
Um, so I think there was a lot of questions about like payments coming out and things being delayed and stuff. And I think for me as well, once or twice things were delayed, but I ended up getting paid. But there were a couple of people who didn't, and eventually, I think LPL, the people went bankrupt or something like that. So I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but yeah, it was a big mess for sure. And I think for the last year, it was mainly like people doing co-streams and stuff. I don't even think there was an official broadcast. So yeah, I mean, it really sucks because I feel like there's a lot of passion for players and stuff. There's been like a lot of really good teams to come out of OC, and them not being represented at all,
Yeah.
despite having that player base, is really awful for the region. But I mean, seeing how the stats have been for the last few years and how messed up the management has been. I can also understand why Riot decided to kind of just wash their hands off of it. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but I can also understand how it's the easiest thing to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I feel really bad for them though, because I do think there's a lot of players who are very passionate about it, and
Yeah.
it just kind of sucks.
And I mean that kind of long term basically means there's like not really gonna be any OS players in VCT. Like that's my read on it anyway. Because it happened in League. So this is like way back in the day, but they used to have in League of Legends. It used to be a lot more broad, where there was a lot more sub regions that were considered tier one. So like these days, it's like Korea, China, Europe, America, or Americas, and like Southeast Asia, like the 5 regions. Um, but before they used to have like Turkey had its own league, Russia had its own league, OS had its own league, and Brazil had its own league, and they were all considered tier one. They'd all send teams to Worlds, like the big events. And one change they made at some point was that for teams in the LCS, so in North America, they made it so that OCE players didn't count as imports. What happened is that actually a few players did go over there and actually made like decent careers. There was like maybe 4 or 5 OS players that like ended up being like decent pros in North America, which isn't like the most competitive league to be fair, but they ended up being that there were these few players that came out and actually had like pretty decent careers. Since and then what happened is that the OS league was nuked, and then there was like a new TO like made its own league that ran for a little bit, but it wasn't really the same, the same stature, and eventually it's been kind of like been done away with. And surprise, surprise, since things started to diminish, there'd been no new players that have come up and gone over to the Americas or to any other region and made a name for themselves, like happened in the past when they did have their own league. So I get why things happen sometimes. Like it is quite a small region as well for like viewership and stuff. It's not like a huge area, and so I understand why they would like consolidate things sometimes. But I mean, it does at the end of the day, it does mean for players there that you don't really got much chance of anything really. Like you're not got a league to play in to be an up and coming pro. Then like you're a bit fucked really. So
Yeah. I mean, I could see a lot of the OCE pros talking about it as well, because I think there's currently Autumn who's been playing for VCT teams in China and Pacific before that. I think Ronsky was also signed. I think a couple of players in tier 2 were also talking about it, and it just sucks to see a whole region get nuked
yeah,
like that. So it does feel very bad for them, but I also don't know what the optimal solution is. I mean, I'm sure there are better TOs out there who could possibly do a better job of running it, but I just don't see the ROI coming in for Riot, which I mean, at the end of the day, they are going to look at that as well, especially with the amount of problems versus the solutions being caused. It just sucks that all these players are the ones who are getting like, bullied about it.
yeah. I feel like that was the main things on there. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else on there that was particularly noteworthy. So from there, I feel like we can just crack on with some Rostermania stuff because it's still going. And we'll see how much we can get through in like 20 minutes or so before I have to jump off. We'll start with the biggest one, which is that PatMen is out
Oh
of
God.
PRX. That came out of nowhere.
Oh,
I
2 days
was.
before his birthday as well. Like,
Oh, is
all of
it?
these leakers, guys, like, why do you guys have to be such dicks about it? Like, I mean, I'm all for leaks coming out, but poor guy, it's his birthday in 2 days. Why do we have to, like, make him speculate about this stuff, like, right before his birthday? He's a young guy as well. He's, like, turning
Well,
19
hopefully
or something, you know?
he knew already. I'd hope so at least.
It just sucks, like, you want people to be wishing you happy birthday, not, oh no, what happened with PRX? It's kind of sad. So, I mean, jokes apart, I think it's good to have this news, of course. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how the leakers do it, but good for them. It's just very sad, and I mean, arguably, I feel like he is one of the rookies of the year. Like, if it hadn't been for Brock coming in and just bullying with the Odin, he would have probably been the one to win it. But to be fair, also like I mean, I remember like Alex saying in his interview that he wanted like somebody who had experience playing with the team before, for whom Valorant was the first game, who didn't have any bad habits from other games that he had to train out of, and PatMen was basically like the answer to the team's prayers. And First ever international event, the dude wins a trophy. So I don't know. I mean, in terms of Invy, I think Invy definitely has way more experience, and he's also a very talented player, like 100%. I feel like Team Secret kind of like underutilized him. I feel like he was one of the better players on that team for sure. So I mean, I feel like I don't know in terms of personality, but in terms of like at least the stats, he's definitely up there. So he could be a good fit for PaperX, but I just feel bad for PatMen because you know you come in, you do all this stuff, you join a team, you win a trophy, and you end up getting kicked. It's
Yeah,
gotta suck. It's pretty sad,
kind of
but
mad.
I understand. It's sometimes that happens. Yeah, like you said, it came out of nowhere, so it's like really unexpected. I hope it's just a rumor. You never know, but I don't know. Tanmay has been pretty accurate so far, so it might not just be a
Yeah,
rumor.
the sheep
Everything
guys like when it yeah
they're on
when
top.
they report like these roster moves happening, like they these days they don't really miss, to be fair. And I think my like understanding is that this, like it mostly comes from like the agents, I think. So like once the players agreed something's happening, the agents just like tell the reporters for some reason. I don't really know why. Anyway, because I spoke to an agent once who said that like they would they would be they would do a deal and like they would be in a meeting like in a call where a move is agreed and they say like they close the Discord call literally 5 minutes later like they're seeing it on the thing. So um I think that's how it happens most of the time. But my complete wild speculation with no information on it, the way that I see that it could make sense that they've wanted to do something, because yeah, like having him be the change that they finally make, and straight after they bring him in, that's when they get the global trophy. Fourth place at champs, like they were probably the favourites at champs, but still fourth place isn't horrendous. Um, not where they would want to be, but it's not like it's not panic worthy. My guess is maybe now that they're starting on the new patch and they've figured from that, that's triggered something where they need to make a change, and maybe practice isn't going as they'd like following the changes. Like that's just my complete guess, and maybe that's what's made them decide that they want to try and make a switch. Because without that, like it's hard to see where they're thinking that there's like a big issue. Yeah, it was massive. It's crazy. Poor guy. I would, the I guess the only it's not really a silver lining, but it seems like a lot of the Pacific and this may just be like from Sheep Esports not having the same sources they do in Pacific and China maybe, but at least from what's been reported on rumors, it doesn't seem like the rosters are like totally set yet across the board like they are in the other leagues. So that's the only thing. Like hopefully there's still space somewhere. I guess Boom are going to be building a team from the ground up. I've seen people say about Mindfreak going to Boom. Mindfreak and PatMen get them on the same team now after they were
Let's go.
that would
You know,
be bad.
Patman might have replaced Mind Freak, but now they are back together. That would be such a funny story, to be for real, for real.
Because it seemed like they had a good relationship
But
as well when during that whole thing. That'd be nice.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, like Mind Freak understood, and he was also like kind of helping the team,
Yeah.
right? So he was still part of the win. So even though he might not have been on the roster per se in the playing five, I think he was still there in some capacity. So it was still his trophy because he was on stage
Yeah, yeah.
getting hugs from the team and stuff. So you
The
know,
only thing,
at least he was there for it.
the thing that makes me a bit sad is there's that photo from Toronto where the whole team's celebrating, but then it's just Patman and Mindfreak hugging like behind them, and it was like that
I remember
nice
that.
moment
It
of
was
like
like,
passing of the torch. Like Mindfreak is kind of like they say like the thing of like picture says 1,000 words, but it kind of tells you that he's saying to him in that hug
it's
like
yours too,
it's yours
brother.
now. You're on the team. Go and have success, and then like what, 5, 6 months later, Patman's out. So that kind of retroactively diminishes that photo a little bit for me. Not that that's their fault. It just makes it not as impactful. Maybe if Patman's not actually going to have like this legacy now, or I guess he's always going to have a legacy of having won the global trophy with them, but it's not like going to be a dynasty with PaperX or anything, which is a bit of a shame. But you were saying Invy's like a good pickup though, or in theory should be.
I mean, in terms of just raw play style, yeah, I think he's one of the more frag heavy initiators out there. So I mean, if you want to compare just stats between him and Patman, I would say Envy's are better, even though like I don't know. As in terms of personality, I don't know how he would be as a fit because he always seemed very serious to me. But if anybody can make people smile, it's got to be Paper X. You know, get him like a Bach plushie, get him like a pink jersey, and I'm sure he'll look better. But I mean, look at Crashies. The guy looked depressed the whole time he was on Optic and NRG, and as soon as he went over to EMEA, bro looks like he's living out of a yaoi no novel or something. I don't know. I remember like that tweet that I made about Daiki and Isa. One of the most liked comments was Jing and Forsaken as the power couple, and the most liked one was Crashies and Boaster. So I'm just saying, don't let your existing relationships stop you from finding your boyfriend or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, jokes apart though. I mean, even if you want to talk about Fnatic, they just lost, by the way. I was kind of watching, like, before we got into this, I was watching like the Soup Invitational, and they were playing
Against
T1,
T1,
and
right? Yeah.
T1 like absolutely bodied them. To be fair, they are playing without their IGL, like Crashies is IGLing, and I remember seeing like the interview after the game, and Gen.G was asking Crashies, like, how does it feel to IGL, and he was just like, yeah, fuck this, I don't want to do this, man, give me Boaster back. So yeah, I
He
mean,
was
he was
fragging as
also
well.
like carrying the team. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was fragging the fuck out. Like he was the one kind of carrying the team. So yeah, I know they have like a substitute, and I know they have like a new player joining them. So yeah, compared to T1, who is like a pretty stable roster in comparison, so it feels bad. But also, yeah, if you're a Fnatic, you don't want to be losing like 13-6 or 13-5 or whatever the fuck that was. So that was not good.
Yeah, not great.
I got to take a picture with Crashies and Alpha, like at the photo booth. So it was like, again, both of these guys are just towering over me, and I'm just like in the middle, looking like a kid. So I
Cool.
didn't want to stand in the middle, but Alpha was like, "You should stand in the middle," and I was like, "Okay, fine.
Where was
I'm
that
gonna look
then?
like a kid." But
Uh,
they came on the finals day, like
oh, right.
for a fan meetup, yeah. So I didn't get a picture with the team because I couldn't be bothered standing in line, and I also wanted to try doing like a lucky draw again, but they were like walking past me, like Alpha and Crashies, and I was like, "Hey guys, can I take a picture with you?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So we got one. They had like this photo booth thingy. You could just print out things, and it gives you like the sticker that you can paste on stuff. It's black and white, which makes it look even more cool. So I got a picture with
Nice.
Alpha and Crashies, which was kind of nice. Yeah, I liked it. But yeah, I mean, I think that T1 also, it's a bit nice to see them performing well because
Munchkin.
they switched coaches, right? Yeah, and they got Munchkin. They got Munchkin who joined them. And I think that they also switched coaches this year. Like they got KDG instead. Autumn left and KDG joined, and he was like their academy coach. So he got promoted like I think a month ago or something. So I was wondering like what caused that, because Autumn has been with this team like since they were in NA. It's been like 5 years, 4 years at this point, and you just swap him out for someone else. And Autumn actually ended up joining EDG. So I don't know, man. We might see EDG make a comeback this year. Who knows?
So,
I feel like
I noticed when that news dropped of EDG getting Autumn, at least I think it was like just on the Reddit thread about it. Like people really didn't rate Autumn at all. I felt like they just won Bangkok this year. Like, I'm not sure why, if you've got any insight why people don't like him or why like people don't rate him at all. Um, but yeah, it seemed like the reaction wasn't great from EDG's or like for fans thinking he's going to do much on EDG. But I don't know, he just won a global championship like this year, literally. So bit of an odd one that. Anyway, um,
I
what?
feel I felt bad about it, but also like T1 they won the championship and they still kicked somebody else, so that was also like something pretty messed
Oh
up.
yeah, maybe from the documentary
Um,
stuff, fallout from that as well.
Poor Sylvan, yeah, that was not good.
True, fair enough. One thing I
Yeah.
realised we talked around but hadn't actually said it. Talked about Boom's roster. They're still not
Mm-hmm.
confirmed, but something is like within the last few hours. I think this will probably go up tomorrow. So from when you're watching this, this
Ooh.
news would have come out yesterday. Well, it's not even really news yet, but Boom are like heavily implying that they're in VCT now. So their main account did like posted a GIF of like a signature thing, which obviously is the classic esports post when you've agreed anything.
Yes.
And then um, I haven't checked to be sure that this is right, but from what our comp is saying, this guy is like an owner at Boom, and tweeted this, which is a bunch of emails from DocuSign with Valorant in the name of the emails, implying that they're signing like the partnership stuff and yeah, or this could be like players that they're signing for Valorant. I guess anything really related. So seems almost certain, unless Boom are just like completely trolling for some reason, but it seems pretty certain that they are the ones coming in now. That's what we were saying about yeah, maybe Mind Freak and PatMen going there. We'll see. Um,
Honestly, I would be really happy if they just kept the old talent roster, because I feel like that was a
yeah,
very talented roster. They missed out by one game by making it. And I mean, Primi is like such a good player. You want to be able to keep like your, star prodigy, whatever you call it. So I do hope that the old talent roster gets some consideration, but I also like
Yeah.
PatMen and Mind Freak, so I don't know where I stand on this. But yeah, I think Cruz definitely deserves a spot. Primi deserves a spot. Honestly, most of that roster was a banger roster, so yeah, I mean, it would be a big shame for them to not make VCT
Yeah.
because the org fucked up and they couldn't find a team in time.
It would be
So
like the
yeah, I hope
fairest.
Boom decides to keep them.
It would be the fairest outcome, I think, if that whole team could stick together. Because it's like we were saying like, the other day when it was announced, um
I mean, their
their whole
coach got signed. Jovi got
yeah.
signed by RRQ, so at least their coach got a home. But I think the players also deserve a home.
But like,
So
so all of those
you know,
players were under contract till next year with talent. So like,
Boom.
in a
Sorry,
fair
Talon. Yeah.
world where there was no issues, they would have had a job guaranteed for next year already. So the fact that they might be out of a job just totally, not from their own control when they previously had a contract would be really out of order, I think. So would be nice, I think, if they do stay together.
Also, I think Riot mentioned that they wanted to find a team here that resonated with the Thai community,
Yeah,
and I mean that would probably mean they would want like an org like Full Sense. But if they're going with an Indonesian org, I think that if Boom is able to keep Thai players, I feel like that would be something that would really resonate in terms of the Thai fan base. I think that they would definitely improve their fan base significantly because I think the players are well liked by the whole of the Pacific region. Most of them, I think they're very talented. So I think that would be a very good goodwill gesture that Boom could make, keeping like most of
yeah.
them. And I think that the team also mentioned that they wanted to stick together. So I don't know, man. You have a ready-made VCT roster that came third last year in VCT Pacific Stage 2. So why would you not want to keep them? It's not like your roster last year did much better. No offense, Boom. But it is kind of funny. This is the second time that an org got kicked out of VCT. And if Boom gets signed again, it will be the second time that they got in by the skin of their teeth after losing Ascension.
Yeah.
Because they came second in that Ascension and they came third in this one. So both times they weren't able to make it themselves. But at least they're able to sneak in on the technicality. So I guess that's a W. I'm not sure if it is, but I guess it
Better
is.
than not being in there, isn't it? So I'll take
100%,
it.
yeah.
Um, elsewhere in Pacific, then, Lakia played his first match in like 500 days or something ridiculous. The number
Woo!
480 days, which sounds like really extreme. Obviously, he never came back for like he didn't play for Gen.G after they signed him last year, and then the year before that was when the scheduling was like insane and champs finished in like August. So that's why he's had a season out, but it's ended up like a year and a half because the first half of the year was just 6 months where there was no Valorant at all for some reason. So he's back. So they had just signed him. They just officially re-signed him for the year, and I don't know. Like, have you seen about who was IGL for this or for their match in Soup? Because obviously Munchkin's out. And we'd kind of talked about whether Lakia could have been coming in as the IGL. I think when he did like his looking for team thing, he said he was up for being an IGL.
Hmm.
But
Honestly, I have no clue, to be
uh,
honest, about what Gen.G are doing because I don't know, they signed a couple of different players. I mean, to be fair, probably it would make sense that it would be Lakia, but because I don't know, I don't think Texture wants to IGL. I think he just wants to go and get 4Ks. Karen still, I mean, he's still a rookie compared to the rest of the people on team. Ash also came from the academy, so I'm not sure, to be honest, with Munchkin going, who has been the one to step up, but I think Lakia would make the most sense because he has the most experience and the role that he plays is also good for being like an IGL. So I think that would make like the most logical sense in terms of who would be doing it. I mean, looking at the rest of the team, I'm not really sure who else would be able to do it, So just by process of elimination, I feel like it makes sense that Lakia is the one doing it.
yeah,
Because Zinx is also from the academy, right? So he's also like a new prospect who just joined. So I really don't think they're gonna be getting an IGO right out of their academy team and putting them in charge of the main team. I mean, more crazy things have happened, so you never know, but it would be nice if we could get a clarification as to who the IGL is. I
yeah,
mean, if I can find it, I'll let you know. But yeah, Lakia makes the most sense.
yeah. To be fair, it could even just be where it's still early. Still, maybe they're still sorting things out, looking at other players.
Figuring
Who
it
knows?
out.
Yeah. Um,
Let's keep trying things until we figure out who works. Yeah, that could make sense. I don't know.
but yeah, it was a good. So they won that that first match with Lakia's return against RRQ, who said have got a new coach as well. Um,
Hmm.
is that the only change for RRQ? I haven't seen anything else from them. be wrong.
I think yeah, I don't think they made too many other changes. I think the coach was the main change. To be fair, they had like a pretty decent roster last year, so
Yeah.
makes sense that they would want to continue with it. They made like two internationals, which I think is always nice to see. You know, if you're an RRQ fan, and they kind of like popped off in the Pacific League as well. Like, yeah, they didn't win the trophy. My boys PRX got them, but they came second, which is always nice. So
And they
in
probably,
terms of money, at least.
to an extent, they might have gotten away with it. The fact that Jemkin, when he was like the best player in the world, was in the middle of the season, and by the end of the season he'd kind of dropped off a bit. So at least no one was sniffing around to like take their star player because he wasn't in the greatest form either. So they can
That
keep hold
helps,
of him.
yeah. I mean, I feel like Monye might have gotten some offers, but he probably wanted to stick with the team as well because he said he found a lot of growth. I mean, good for Monye, man. He went from like, honestly, there's a team
Oh,
in
for him on
Pacific that's been
PRX.
the most, yeah, like who's fumbled the most. It was probably like GE because they had Texture and Monye on the same team, and they made them play Sentinel. Like, I will never forgive anyone for making Texture play Killjoy of all agents. I feel like that's the worst thing you can do with a player like Texture. But I mean, to be fair, if you sign five duelists, like what else do you do? But yeah, I remember that first GE roster was such a meme. I'm glad they've been picking up steam over the last year. They actually look decent in Pacific compared to their previous years for sure. But yeah, I mean that has got to be the biggest VCT fumble of all time. Having Texture and Monye on the same team and having to let them go. Ouch. And they immediately them popping off and winning a major. Like Texture won a major. Monye got close to it. He came like third and second. So it's been a bit of a rough time losing players like that, but it has also been nice for the players themselves. And yeah, I think Monye playing in like three different VCT teams at this point has definitely found the most success with RRQ, at least domestically, because he won like his first regional trophy and stuff. So that's nice for sure for him.
What else did we have? Vitality have played their first couple of matches with their new roster. Now it is best of ones, to add the
I don't like
caveat
that.
already. But they did
Uh,
lose their first match to Eternal Fire 13-11. So it's the first time seeing the Fnatic BBL crossover as you called it earlier.
I mean, what else do you call it? Like half the team is BBL and half of the team is Fnatic. Like, bro, it's so funny to me. Like, it's the most insane crossover. But I mean, jokes apart, I really do like the roster that they have. I think that it is definitely a roster that can be very capable of winning things because I mean, Durka and Chronicle always like a deadly duo. They won trophies together before, so probably hungry for more. BBL as well last year. Like, I think that they had a very underrated run, and it was very sad that they couldn't make it to champions because they very narrowly missed out in that lower final from being able to qualify. So it's kind of sad for sure, but I think that Profit looked great. Yampi on IGL was fantastic last year, and their coach as well. I mean, Pal gave us a really nice interview, so of course, and he sounded like genuinely just so proud of his team and his
Yeah,
teammates and the development that they've seen. So I'm happy that he's gonna be able to continue working with Yampi and Profik and try to win a trophy this year. So they also got Scott, who was Fnatic's assistant, so this year. So they definitely did some shopping around. They got like Fnatic substitute, they got Fnatic's old duelist 2 years ago, they got Fnatic's flex player this year, they got Fnatic's substitute player Sayonara, they got Fnatic's assistant, and of course they've got the rest of the pieces they got from BBO. So yeah, the most insane collaboration of all time. Vitality better do something with it because all of these people are very, very talented people, and I'm very excited to see what the roster does
yeah.
in, actual VCT with a little bit of time. So, I don't know. I would definitely have them down as one of my favorites for a kickoff.
I think
But
so. It feels like maybe more of like I suppose it kind of even it still sort of counts as a super team, maybe not to the same degree as
I
last year,
think I
but
think the funniest thing about this team is that Safe is substitute. Like this team is so stacked that their substitute is Safe. That's just insane to me.
it feels like it probably does count as a super team, I'd think, but it also feels maybe more of a considered one than last year. Like especially seeing that Power's like come in and has just been working with two of the players as well, so it's not
Hmm.
quite a hodgepodge of
Haphazard.
like completely new people like it was last year. Obviously last year it worked out in kickoff at least, but we know what happened in the end. So at least this time it seems like
Oh
maybe
God,
more of just more sensible.
chemistry.
Yeah. So
I think that it's very important to have like I think the best teams always have like a really good relationship between the IGL and the coach because there's always like a lot of collaboration that goes on and stuff like that. Like Bonker and Ethan, Potter and Com. So I think having Yampi and Powell both working together is gonna be great. Talking about Potter and Com though, Potter and Com are also back together. So who knows? This might be the year that EG stops sucking and might win something again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good segue because I had that lined up ready to switch over to.
I
Um,
stole it from you. Sorry.
that's all right. So yeah, EG have announced their new roster, like you say, with the return of Com as well. Um, what was your take on their roster overall?
Honestly, I'm really happy that Calm is back. I feel like he's had a bit of a tough time, playing for 11 stuff, but now that he's back with Potter, she was kind of like responsible for developing him into the player that he is. So I think that's good. I think that Dixon, I think that's how you say his name. He's like a very underrated pickup. I'm very happy that he got signed because he was really good in Ascension this year. I think he was one of the main reasons why Team Solid were able to make like that top three during Ascension. So yeah, I think I'm very happy that he managed to find a VCT team. Okeanos as well, like W pickup from tier two along with Bao. Both of these players, again, proven players. So I think it's gonna be good for EG to be able to have like that kind of tier two talent to develop and lean into. I think that what we saw from NRG this year has really inspired a lot of teams in NA, but also around the world to kind of pick up people from their academy projects, pick up people from like their tier two scene. Like I think T1, Gen.G recently brought up one of their players. T1 um, brought their coach over from the academy, a couple of teams in EMEA, a couple of teams in NA. So it's nice to see that that pathway is building up, and hopefully that means that there'll be more investment in challengers and stuff. Because right now, at least outside of NA, it's kind of sad in terms of like how many orgs and are there and salaries being paid and stuff like that. So there's a lot of controversy around tier two. So hopefully this improves prospects. It renews hope in the VCT cycle, whatever you call it. But yeah, overall EG's roster, I do think it looks good this year. I don't know if it's gonna stand up to the powerhouses that are already there. I think 100 Thieves looked good. NRG still looks good with Kiko's pickup as well. So yeah, I mean, I think they definitely look competitive, but yeah, I don't know if they have what it takes to win champions again. But to be fair, nobody expected EG to win champions in 2023 either. Like they had the most miracle run of all miracle runs. So who knows? It might happen again. Lightning can strike twice. It doesn't mean it will, but it can. And I believe in Potter. She said she's gonna be taking a nice break and go. She's going fishing for a couple weeks, back home. So hopefully she comes back from that fishing for more than just fish, fishing for a trophy. That sounded much better in my head. I'll be real, but
You should have skipped to
it's
the
okay.
fishing for the trophy bit. That would have sounded. It would have been smoother.
Probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
um,
I
I
need to learn from
I
Pansy.
was I was thinking actually because we were saying earlier that the like the Americas rosters were all lined up and finished like ages ago, whereas like the other regions aren't. I was thinking what kind of lucky in a way, I guess, or not luck because she's got control over it. But I was thinking where she's working at Game Changers. Imagine the roster wasn't finished yet. That would have been a bit of a nightmare, I imagine. But
I think
anyway,
they announced it right before, like in the first few days of GC.
yeah,
So yeah, she probably like figured it out, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this shit. I gotta go, cast with my goat Pansy. So
yeah.
leave me alone for the next few weeks,
Because
and then
anyway,
I'm
I
gonna
think
go fishing after that and take a break."
it must just be.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why there'd be a difference, but I know that same happens with League as well. Is that basically once like Champs is finished, or even while Champs is going half the time, or Worlds is going on, the teams, especially the teams that aren't there, are already having like verbal agreements of where
Agreements and
players are
stuff.
going to go and stuff. So like the rosters are mostly locked before free agency happens anyway. So for the most part, like they are going to be done like way early anyway. So it's just
Hmm.
a regional thing. I don't know why it's in different in Pacific. It could even be more along the lines of like verbal agreement, uh, legal things maybe even like where some countries are more harsh on like verbal contracts being like how much legitimacy they have. This is like
Sorry.
purely guessing.
Speculation. Yeah.
Yeah, but who knows? So she was fine anyway. Same with Baby Bear as well. I guess that could have even been a. Like, he's probably signed on to GC before G2 ever imagined that they were going to make a change because their stuff seemed to happen very late as well.
I still hate that G2 story, bro. I
Yeah.
feel like Joda P deserves better.
Still
Like
waiting.
it
Yeah, I
really
wonder how long we
sucked
have to wait
like
to
what
know
happened
what
to
actually
him.
happened. Like what is really the reason? Because it's no one seems to have been close to leaking anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I can understand why Jonah doesn't want to leak it. He probably wants to not like burn bridges or whatever,
Yeah.
but or like just be a nice guy. But I don't know. Like if someone did that to me again, like I'm not the nicest person. I'm pretty vengeful when it comes to this kind of shit. So I would not take it lying down. But it's at least it's nice to see the amount of support he's been getting. I do think that I hope he gets picked up by an America's team or at least some other team. Like he said, he's willing to go around the world. So just steal him away. There's like plenty of VCT teams that haven't announced their shit yet. Get Jonah on board. You can't really imagine a better player. In terms of like a flex, in terms of like somebody who fits in with the team. I don't know. I feel like it would be a shame to not have him in VCT next year. So hopefully somebody is able to yoink him real quick now that he's a free agent.
Yep.
I feel bad for Fnatic though, but I was just thinking he could have joined Fnatic, but then I keep forgetting that Crashies is an import at this point, dude. Because like him and Boaster make all of these fucking family reels. It just seems like, oh yeah, he's also like European at this point. Crashies is an adopted European, so and then I remember, oh never mind, he's actually from NA. And he has a house there, he has a girlfriend there, but yeah.
Green card marriage?
Telling me
Does that change? Would that change things?
who got married?
No, I was saying a green card marriage potentially. Could that help?
I don't know how citizenship works in the UK, so maybe who knows?
Or
Like
up to
just
German
marry the
laws, I
VCT
guess.
players you want to get them on your team. Yeah, like that could be a new strat. Who knows? For
sure.
legal reasons, that was a joke, but yeah.
I wasn't joking. No, not
I
to us
was,
anyway.
yeah.
So I guess that's pretty much all of them. Actually, I have to go now anyway. So the only one thing we had in our notes we didn't get to was Na'Vi with Angel.
Honestly,
You got
about
you got 30
time, bro.
seconds.
About fucking time. About fucking time. Thank you for finally, not locking Yoru and being like the free feeding frenzy player on your team, giving the opponent's first kill every time. Thank you for, because I feel like Angel is a great guy. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of chemistry. He's a really fun person who is really good at motivating people. But yeah, if you can't shoot, you should get off the server. And I feel like he'd be a great coach in terms of like the atmosphere and stuff. I know he gets a lot of hate, but he's like 35 or 36 or 37. I don't even know how old he is at this point. He's been competing for nearly 20 years. So please give like the young people a chance. And I do like their team because they still got Shao. Shao is like one of the best players of all time. They've got Hero. They've got Rutzik, who was really good last year. And I think they signed Social B as well from BBL from this year in BBL. So
Yeah, just looking at the
he also
stats on
played like
their first games, he was like popping off a bit as well, I think.
he's a really good player, yeah. So I'm very happy with the roster in terms of like just raw talent because I think everybody here is like really cracked. And I might not trust in Angel's ability as a IGL player, but I do trust in his abilities as a coach because his calls were good. It was just his aim that was bad. I feel like, people. I know Boaster gets a lot of shit, but I feel like people don't give Angel enough shit compared to the amount that Boaster gets. So I love Angel as a person, but I don't know about him as a player on the team. So I'm happy for Navi. I feel like this is the year we can finally cheer for Navi wholeheartedly, because I always felt like he was kind of dragging them down. Like no shade, but it is shade kind of, I guess. But yeah,
A little bit. And to clarify,
a little bit.
neither of them need to get hate either.
I'm just glad that he's realized
criticism's fine. Criticism's fine.
Yeah, it's not hate. It's
Yeah.
genuine criticism. Like, brother, you're 37 years old, and I know the whole age is a number thing, but you have your reflexes look like they are in slow motion compared to half the other players on your team. So, just use your big brain. I agree, you have a big brain as an IGL, so now you can use it as a coach. It's gonna be good for the team, and I'm glad he realized it.
Let's see.
That's about it.
Best of luck to
There's
him.
my 30-second rant.
Yeah.
Best of luck to Navi this year. I feel like I can root for them. So, it's good.
Right, I've got to go then. So thanks as always, Zach, and thanks as always for listeners and viewers. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
My pleasure. 100%. We'll talk about off-season events more. I think the ones going on should be over now because we got like the Soup one going on. There's like the Radiant one in China happening. That's also got some banger teams. So yeah, next time we meet, hopefully we have some good off-season results to speculate off of before kickoff starts. So sounds
nice
like
off-season matches to overreact to.
My favorite time of the year. Happy holidays for everyone. Let's watch VCT.
For sure. Right, we'll catch you then. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.